Between 1964 and 69, the Supremes had an unbelievable 12 number one Hot 100 hits. That's the most by any American group. Can you name at least 10? Can a pop music luminary like Tripp Rogers name 10? Well, we're going to find out. I'm Phil Yale, and I'm welcoming back Tripp Rogers. Tripp, welcome back.
All right, Phil, ready to take the challenge. And I'm sure the online pop luminaries are going to get more than me because, well, they can.
Well, we're going to find out because we're going to invite them to play along in this challenge. That's where I try to trip you up and the listeners to come up with at least 10 of their 12 number one hits. That's what I'm looking for. Do you accept the challenge?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's start tripping.
All right. We start with their first number one song, Where Did Our Love Go? And that was in 1964. And their last number one song was Someday We'll Be Together. That was the last song they released before Diana Ross left the Supremes officially. And ironically, that song was meant to be Diana Ross's first solo effort. But then Barry Gordy decided to release it under Diana Ross and the Supremes moniker, became the Supremes' last number one song. And Diana Ross is the only person in the Supremes that was on that song.
You are correct on both. So you have 2 of the 10.
Baby Love.
Baby Love was their second one. That's correct.
Love Child, which is a departure essentially because that was the first Diana Ross and the Supremes song that dealt with social issues. There was a knock on Motown that was all, love and happiness, boyfriend, girlfriend, and up-tempo, good stuff. And these were turbulent times for, they had set up Motown as the sound of young America. But unfortunately, they really took a hit. Their home base was Detroit, Michigan, and that's where you had some of the worst riots in 1967. And Motown was criticized. So you saw a change in the latter part of the 60s.
There's a lot to unpack in what you just shared. You're absolutely correct about Motown. And you and I talk about the album that really set Motown in a different direction. That's what the album by Marvin Gaye in 1970, What's Going On. The songwriters for this one, my notes indicate, were R. Dean Taylor, Frank Wilson, Pamela Sawyer, and Deke Richards, all given songwriting credit. This is
And
also
R. Dean Taylor had a solo hit on one of the Motown subsidiary albums, 1970, Indiana Wants Me.
I always liked that song. So you got 4 out of 10 so far.
Okay. They had so many in a row. And again, this was up against the British invasion, which is kind of amazing too. Back in My Arms Again.
Back in My Arms Again. Absolutely correct. That tied them at the time with the Beatles for 5 consecutive. Ultimately, the Beatles would end up with 6 consecutive.
The songs from 1964 that stands out, Stop in the Name of Love.
Stop in the Name of Love. Is that the one where they came up with the hand gestures?
Hand gestures. And again, that was what Barry Gordy was going for with the Supremes, is this elegant group. Back then, going on tour was a very difficult task. Diana Ross and the Supremes also, believe it or not, were on Dick Clark's Caravan of Stars. Dick Clark would do a summer concert tour, and they do a bus, and the Supremes would appear on it. And Dick Clark famously wrote, the Supremes would hang their wigs out, take their wigs off, and they would air them out on the bus. They wore wigs. They all dressed alike. The image was very important for Barry Gordy, as was for the Temptations and Four Tops dance moves. That was important too. The show was important, and that was something that he impressed on them. And actually, a group that was at Motown and then left, but still did that kind of thing, was Gladys Knight and the Pips. Midnight Train to Georgia, famous, and they would the Pips would dance, and that was an offshoot from their time at Motown.
There were 12 number one hits. I'm looking for 10.
I think I bookended the first and last, so it's got to be in the middle. The Happening.
The Happening. Let me check my list here as I scroll. And absolutely, it was their 10th number one.
A song that's included in the soundtrack to there's a couple of Supreme songs that are included in the soundtrack to Hollywood Nights. Love Is Here and Now You're Gone, and that's on that soundtrack, which is a great movie, by the way. It's a movie with New Bomb Turk.
Sure. You are right again, Tripp. So that gives you, let's do the count here, 4. That looks like to me like you've got 8. Hey, you only gotta get 2 of the 4. One was released in 1964. It was their 3rd number 1. One was released in 1965, one in 1966, and another one in 1966.
Did Stop in the Name of Love, right?
Yep, you did. The one you're missing is Between Baby Love and Stop in the Name of Love. It was their 3rd consecutive number 1 hit, making them the first American group to achieve such a feat.
64 or 64. Come See About Me.
Come See About Me. Very good.
And real quick, just to mention, and you're saying to yourself, well, what about Elvis? The Billboard Hot 100 did not start until 1958. We did the artists with the most number 1 songs on the Billboard Hot 100. And you asked me that, and that was when I said Elvis. And he goes, no, Elvis was not, because the Hot 100 didn't start until 1958. And Elvis, all of Elvis's big hits were at the beginning of his career. Just a
great point.
It in there.
You only need one more. You got 3 left. They are all from 1965 or 1966.
Hear a Symphony.
I Hear a Symphony. Absolutely correct. So you have successfully identified 10 of the 12. We only have 2 left. One, the title implies that patience. There needs to be patience.
Can't Hurry Love.
Can't Hurry Love. And then the final one.
You Keep Me Hanging On.
You Keep Me Hanging On. Here's all 12 of them. Where Did Our Love Go? Baby Love. Come See About Me. Stop in the Name of Love. Back in My Arms Again. I Hear a Symphony. You Can't Hurry Love. You Keep Me Hanging On. Love Is Here and Now You're Gone. The Happening. Love Child. And Someday We'll Be Together. They had a streak of 5 consecutive. There was a song that was released. It peaked at number 11. So it effectively ended their streak of consecutive number 1 hits. By chance, can you name that song?
I when you tell me it, I'm going to know it, because I do remember. I mean, it is one of the Supremes' greatest hits. I'm drawing a vapor lock on it. I really am.
So you really have 0 ideas, zilch, nada.
Zilch, nada, Zippo.
There was a hint in there.
Nothing But Heartaches.
Nothing But Heartaches. There you go. Well, Tripp was able to successfully conquer this challenge. How did you do? Let us know in the comments. You obviously been listening to Trippin' Up with Tripp Rogers and Phil Yale. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Check the show description for the links to follow Tripp, including WRHQ.com 105.3 in Savannah, Georgia, and on WTRS Radio. Tripp also appears on Phil's Tracks. It's a discography. I'm going to be able to get this eventually. Discography.
That's a perfect way to describe it, Phil.
It's where storytelling and music come together. And we've done many episodes together, including an episode on Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. And I've got many other shows on YouTube. Thanks again for joining us on this episode of Trippin' Up.